All right. So this is the video where I'm going to answer the questions why and explain to you why these different cells have the different characteristics that they do. So we're going to start with muscle cells. And muscle cells, they are long cells, fused cells to form multiple nuclei in each cell and many mitochondria and lots of protein. Now, why do they have these different characteristics? Well, let's first start with multiple nuclei. If they have these cells are usually very, very long. Like almost some cells could be as long as your forearm or um, something to that effect. And so if they have multiple nuclei, then that means they're going to have the opportunity to have many mitochondria and lots more ribosomes and things like that that will produce um, more proteins because they have more genetic material to produce enzymes and proteins. But most of all, they need the proteins to go to have the muscle contraction back and forth and muscle building things. So having multiple nuclei is really important. And then also the many mitochondria means that the cells themselves are going to have a lot of energy. And for you to be able to walk or even um, use your arm muscles or to talk or anything to that effect, you need the energy from your mitochondria. And so that's why muscle cells have a lot of mitochondria. And then the protein, obviously, is to build the muscle cells when they tear or break and things like that. And so that is the why for the muscle cells. Um, the next one we have is stomach cells. Now, in a stomach cell, they have many ribosomes, extensive rough ER, rough endoplasmic reticulum, and many ducts for secretion of enzymes. So, if you think about the stomach, um, it needs to make a lot of proteins because what is a protein? An enzyme is also a protein. And in your stomach acid and in the stuff that breaks down your food in the stomach is enzymes. So um, it has to have lots of ribosomes to make enzymes. Also, extensive rough ER, um, that's also to have the ribosomes because one of the purposes of rough ER is to make secretory proteins, so proteins that secrete things, such as what we were just talking about. So the and then it has many ducts for the secretion of enzymes. Why? Again, because if it secretes these enzymes, it can break down your food. It needs that protein to make the enzymes in order to break down the food. That's what your stomach does, is starts the process of breaking down your food. So then we have nerve cells. And nerve cells, their characteristics are long branching cells surrounded by insulating fat and many, many transport proteins. Why do they have these characteristics? So, first of all, your nerve cells have to transport messages from your brain and to your body, um, or to nerve cell. And so when it has long branching cells, that means it can reach far and connect with other cells. It's surrounded by insulating fat. Um, and I won't get too far into this, but the insulating fat has little nodes in between it that help the um, message to go faster down the line so that you don't have a slow reaction time. Say, for example, if you were to burn your hand, um, it goes really, really fast instead of having to wait a long time and then end up burning your hand. So then also it says it has many, many transport proteins. Now, transport proteins, it needs to, again, further the messages that it sends. It needs the proteins to send neurotransmitters and things like that to um, basically send the messages. So everything in a nerve cell is sending the message of what from the brain to the body or from the body to the brain. Okay, now we have red blood cells. These ones are pretty interesting, I think, because one of the characteristics of a red blood cell is that it has no nucleus. They're round and flattened. But the reason they have no nucleus is so that there is more room for this protein that's um, in them called hemoglobin. And hemoglobin basically is an oxygen carrier. So the more room that they have for hemoglobin and oxygen carrying capacity, the better, because that's what red blood cells do is they go throughout your body and they get oxygenated blood, oxygenate themselves, and then they go and um, through the rest of the body and to give the oxygen um, off. So it's very important for your brain to have oxygen and for the rest of your body to have oxygen. So if they had nuclei, then they wouldn't be able to carry the oxygen. So pretty interesting. Okay, then we have white blood cells, and they are nucleated. They have many lysosomes and many ribosomes. So white blood cells are actually your immune response. So this is what kills the germs in your body. Um, and it makes sense that the reason why they have many lysosomes, or first of all, many ribosomes, so that they can make digestive enzymes. And secondly, they have many lysosomes, which, if you remember from our organelle video, um, or the organelle slides, the lysosome um, has digestive enzymes within it, and it's a lot of times termed the garbage man of the cell. So basically, it has a lot of enzymes and lysosomes within that cell to break down and attack these unwanted cells that the white blood cells attack. So that's why the white blood cells have those characteristics. Okay, then we have your pancreatic cells or pancreas cells. Um, they have many ribosomes, extensive rough ER, and many ducts for secretion of enzymes. So, first of all, they have many ribosomes. Again, with the protein, it is your protein factory, the ribosome. And so it makes the enzymes that it needs. But the rough ER, um, if you remember from our other slides, it talks about the rough ER in the pancreas making insulin. So that's why it has lots and lots of rough ER or endoplasmic reticulum, and then many ducts for secretion of enzymes, enzymes and insulin and such things like that. So that's why it's got those characteristics. Okay, and then our last one is intestinal cells. So this is your intestines. This is where your food is being absorbed. So we have long extensions, the characteristics of long extensions called microvilli extending into the intestine. And then the other side of the cells is where all the blood vessels are. So that would be just on this side. So this is a blood vessel right here. And then these are the microvilli. Okay. So they're also surrounded by many transport proteins. So many blood vessels and many transport proteins. So the reason why they have these kind of characteristics is because, as you can see here, there's lots of surface area to be able to absorb nutrients in the small intestine, or just in the intestines themselves at all. And with all those microvilli, there's lots of places to absorb nutrients. And then once they absorb the nutrients in here, it goes to the bloodstream right here. So it's very functional. And that's why they have those characteristics. And this is the end of this video. And hopefully you understand what the why of all these characteristics of these cells.